I did not strangle my daughter or nothing like that. She picked up a vase, tried to hit me with it the day she ran away because she had got in trouble at school for talking about having sex with a guy at school in the boys' bathroom.
Well, we are about to watch a parole hearing with one new board member. Of course, they kept two board members on, Renatza and Mr. Pete Freeman, and they're both here. But it's revocation hearings, and we're going to jump in, and then we'll unpack a little bit about the new board member. But with that, let's jump in.
There you go.
All right, is it still, no, it's still good morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening. So you're accused, Mr. Dupy, of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 4. On March 31st, 2023, you were charged with domestic abuse, battery, strangulation, and felony cruelty to a juvenile by Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. On May 11th, 2023, you deferred your hearings. On November 30th, 2023, an amended bill was filed changing the charge to simple battery, to which you pled guilty and were ordered to have no contact with the victim in this matter unless given permission by a DCFS civil court judge. You received 6 months in the parish prison. How do you plead to violating condition number 4?
Well, I pleaded out to that.
I'm talking specifically just about your conditions of parole. Do you plead guilty or not guilty to violating condition number 4 of your supervision condition?
Not guilty.
Right. And lastly, condition number 10, you're $378 behind on your monthly supervision fee. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Okay, so let's talk about condition number 4. You were going to talk to us about that. Tell us, you pled guilty to simple battery, but you pled not guilty to violating your conditions. Tell us about it.
Well, I didn't have nothing to do with that. My daughter sent in a paperwork saying that she had lied about the situation, and my daughter was never supposed to be taken out of our custody because they said she had broken ribs and fractured fingers. So once the people put her into a different family, and she wound up telling the truth that didn't happen, they wound up wanting to bring her back. But we've been trying to get help for our daughter since she's been getting in trouble. She's been breaking into houses and everything. And I told her I was about to put her in a young Marine program, and that's when all this stuff took place. But we had all kinds of documents and all that stuff.
All right. So Mr. Dupy, you're saying none of that happened, but in the police report, you admit to striking your daughter with the belt 3 times.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
It says she tried to hit you with a vase, and then she did sustain injury. She had a fractured finger, broken ribs, and strangulation marks, and this was confirmed by medical records.
Yeah, no, none of that never happened. They showed all that in the court.
Well, how does the medical records? The medical records are not true?
Yeah, ma'am. She went to school that day. She has a counselor at school. This took place way after she got out of school. She had a counselor that she could have reported this to. She had a friend of hers come pick her up from school and bring her to the hospital. I did not strangle my daughter or nothing like that. She picked up a vase, tried to hit me with it the day she ran away because she had got in trouble at school for talking about having sex with a guy at school in the boys' bathroom.
So there was some argument over a pair of shoes.
Yeah, that was half of the part of it. That's a story she told y'all, but that's not the real story. She got in trouble for me and her mom because she was talking about having unapproved sex in school in the boys' bathroom when we had already took her tablet and her phone away from her being in the diversion program for breaking into people's houses. If I was going to strike my daughter, did anything harmful to her, she would have been getting in trouble. I never put my hands on none of my kids. Only reason why she got disciplined that day because she picked up a vase and ran at me talking about she was about to kill me and kill herself. I have 7 other kids. Yeah, I mean, I don't discipline my kids like that at all.
So did you strike her with
if anything happened to her after that, when she got out of school, that must have been something that whoever her and that person did that to her because I never strangled her not one time. And I had the rest of the kids at the house at the time when this stuff took place.
Right.
And if she had fractured fingers, she wouldn't even be able to write while she was at school. She went through a whole day of school. That's why I'm trying to tell the people that she lied. None of this stuff never happened. I don't understand how you can write a whole day of school, you participated in PE and everything, your dance class and everything, and then you go to a hospital after you get out of school and say that this happened to you. You had somebody pick you up from school, and the girl who you were trying to go stay with and lie for you and say that this happened to you.
Well, Mr. Dupy, I don't think medical records lie. And that's why I'm having trouble listening, hearing what you're saying. Your version is totally different than what the record says. So let's move on. How long have you been in jail?
I've been here a year, ma'am.
Been in jail a year. And
Yes,
where,
ma'am.
to your knowledge, where is Dazini? How do you pronounce it?
Design is Dupy. She's in her third foster care. The people have been trying to get me to take the classes to get my daughter back since like a month after this happened, way last year of April or May. But I couldn't take the classes. I had a court date today. They asked me last time I went to court, did I want to get my daughter back? We told them yes. So they waited for me to finish with this so I could start taking the classes to get her back home.
Who's waiting?
DCFS and the parenting classes.
Okay, and they don't have them there where you're at?
No, they don't have them. The judge at the juvenile place recommended that the visitations and stuff to start, but they didn't have them here. So the last time I went to court, they was asking me when I was going to be finished with this so I could start taking the parenting class so my daughter could get back, but I told them I had to go in front of the parole board.
And so let's see, you backing up a lot of time, 2033, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
So at the time that this all took place, whatever happened, were you employed?
Yes, ma'am.
And you mentioned you have 7 children, 6 or 7?
I have 6 other children. I have 6 other kids besides her.
And you're the father of all those children?
Yes, ma'am. Except the 19-year-old son. So
6 of them are your children.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the age ranges of the 6 of your children?
23, 16. Design is 13, and I got a 11 and a 7 and an 8-month-old baby.
So where's the 19-year-old?
He stays with us.
So you have 23, and you
The 23-year-old doesn't stay with us.
And 19 does?
Yes, ma'am.
19, 16, 13, 11, 7 in less than a year stay in your household, except
Yes,
for 13 right now. Designing.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's your wife today?
She's at court right now with the situations that's going on.
Explain that. Yeah, you just mentioned that they were continuing.
We had another court date today. We had another court date today for my wife. She was supposed to start bringing some paperwork so we can start taking the classes. She was out. We didn't take the classes because she was out due to having a baby at the time also, and she was having complications with the pregnancy, so she didn't ever start the classes at the time also. So she started her first class, which was yesterday. But we've been trying to get help for our daughter. That's why this procedure been going on so long with the court system, because we've been trying to give my daughter help. We've been trying to get her put on medicine since she was a kid. No one never wanted to give us any help. The schools, the diversion program, when she got arrested, she's been seeing a counselor. They ain't give us no help, but now they're trying to give us some help now. She's supposed to be taking medicine, but she's not on medicine yet.
All right, I don't have any other questions on the part of my colleagues.
Mr. Dupy, have you used any drugs since you've been out?
No, sir.
You've been drug tested since you've been out?
Yes, sir.
And it's your claim that y'all had a little thing that morning. You did whip her with a belt.
Yes, sir.
Went to school, and then later that day she went to the hospital with a broken finger and broken ribs.
It happened October 16th at 11 o'clock at night. She went to sleep. She ran away from home. I called the cops. I got her back home, and we went to talking about it. So that's when that place took occurred. But her picking up the vase running at me because she knows she was punished. But after that happened, I sat her down, talked to her, we talked. I told her I love her, I want the best for her. Then she went to school, she got up with her other sister, and they went to school. I didn't get a phone call till like 4 o'clock in the afternoon saying that my daughter's been taken out of our custody because she had broken ribs and fractured fingers. That was it. None of this stuff never happened.
So you think it happened at school?
She never had any broken ribs. That's the thing. Or fractured fingers. I don't know how that even must come about.
I have no further questions.
All right, is there anything you'd like to say to us to close it out for us?
Excuse me?
Is there anything you want to say to us before we make a decision?
I'm just begging that y'all show me mercy through y'all system because I couldn't get any help here. From the reports she told the people, she admitted that she lied, she was mad, and she was ashamed of what she did, and that I got all kind of documents from here, even from off the recorded phone that she lied. We tried to present it to the DA. They said that she was being manipulated into saying this stuff, and when she wasn't at all.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Dupy, why did you plead to simple battery? If none of this happened, why did you make that deal?
Because they didn't want to give me no help. The DA said that my daughter's being bribed into saying this. And then after that, my wife was dealing with postpartum, and I had been in here this long, and then my lawyer was like, the judge don't believe in any kind of discipline at all. Even though I did hit her with the belt because she attacked me with the vase, he said she's not going to show me any kind of mercy. So he said that you probably have a better chance going in front of the parole board. So I said that's why I just take my chance dealing with the parole board because I had trials at twice and they kept sending me back.
Okay, Mr. Dupy, we got it. I'm gonna make a motion for executive session. Can you get a second?
I move.
We have a second. Could you do the roll call, please?
Cheryl Renata.
Yes.
Pete Freeman.
Yes.
Jerry Lee.
Yes.
So we have a unanimous vote, Mr. Dupy. We're going to convene an executive session for a few moments to discuss confidential matters. Stand by. We'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm gonna vote first, and my vote and recommendation to my panelists is that we continue your case because I need more information. I'd like to hear from your wife. I understand you said she's taking care of some other family matters today, but we'd like to ask your parole officer to speak with her and give us a statement. We'd also like to hear from Designy's caseworker about what's going on with her. So we just need a little more information before we can make an informed decision. I realize you've been in jail a long time. We'll try to get that information as quickly as we can. So we'll see you as quickly as we can to make a decision. Your mic, y'all are on mute.
All right, there you go. Excuse me, my wife wasn't home at the time.
Well, we still want to hear from her.
Okay.
So that's my vote. I'm going to ask Mrs. Ledoux.
I'm concerned about you and your daughter in this, and I don't have enough information to make a good decision that would that I feel comfortable with. So I'm gonna vote to continue.
Mr. Freeman.
I concur, really, we need your wife here to talk to us, tell us what happened in court today. We want to see which way it's headed, and I want to speak to the caseworker just to see what we're dealing with, because we don't really know.
Yes,
All right, Mr. Dupy. So we're going to gather that information and we'll see you just as soon as we can.
okay, thank you.
All right, sir.
Wow. Okay. So like this hearing sticks out because he's back in 10 years, which I'm glad they brought up. They don't normally do that. I don't have records on the details of his crime or anything that I can add outside of just the unpacking of this hearing. And I think and they took, I cut through it. I edited through it for you, but the executive session lasted over 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. So I think that they tried to get all the information, which is to cross their T's, dot their I's, and make sure that they're getting this right. I mean, for one, if they revoke him, he's backing 10 years. He'll have the right to apply for parole again, but it's a pretty big deal. You want to make sure you get it right. On the other side, imagine if he broke his daughter's finger. He broke his daughter's ribs. To me, it's just absolutely mind-boggling to think that he's allowed to plead to a misdemeanor charge for doing something like that to his daughter. I mean, how is it not possible that he's not given a hardcore felony for doing that, and that the DAs would just plead down after he beats the living, out of his elementary school's daughter? It's like there's so much wrong in this case. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around. Either in one case you have a daughter that is so evil and manipulative and vindictive that she's lying to everybody, saying that her father beat her to the point where she had broken ribs and fingers. Or you have a father who actually beat his daughter to the point where she has broken ribs and fingers, sends her to school, and he gets just a misdemeanor charge. So either way, we're in a really messed up place. But either way, they need to find the truth. And I'm not buying it that he didn't do that to her, because wouldn't he have been saying, get my wife on the phone, get, child services here, please? But he never once made that request during his parole hearing. He never pushed for it. Someone who's innocent would have been pushing for it. And instead, he's trying to use the logic card, which is, how is it possible that she went to school and played sports and wrote? And all I was thinking was, who says that she went to school and played sports and wrote? Maybe she went to school and went straight to the nurse's office and just kind of sat there in pain for, however many hours. I mean, it's not like that. Just wouldn't be the argument that I would take, which is, how did she go to school? She must have gone to school and then gotten hurt afterwards, because they're kept going to the medical. Well, so everyone's in consensus with the medical bill. She did truly have broken ribs. She did truly have broken fingers, but now it's who caused it. And it is scary to think that, and it could be that they did a plea deal with him because they knew he was back in 10 years. I've heard that before. The DA says, well, look, we know he's back in 10 years. He's going to get revoked. So we don't need to go to trial. We don't need to do the whole messy thing of having a daughter come to court against her father. Maybe she doesn't show up. So they just did the plea deal knowing that he'd be back in 10 years. But then you think that they would have backed it up with some type of material that the parole board would see. And there's just no organization here. And it seems quite bizarre. And yeah, he wasn't livid about being accused of it. It was like more nonchalant. But we'll move to the next hearing. What we're going to do for this case is, because they are going to come back, and I think they'll probably come back soon. They're going to try to get this right for him. And I'll play it again for you. So I'll put it in the playlist of return of. That's what the playlist we do when people come back for second times, and we'll make sure that we do that. But now let's move to the next hearing.
Okay, Mr. Stell, you've been in jail 8 months?
Since October, 5 months.
Okay.
November, December, January, February, March, 5 months. November, December, January, February, March.
Okay, 6 months. We'll go
6
with 6. Let's go with
Okay.
6. All right.
Okay.
All right. Tell me what happened.
Well, I'm happy to show you the first parole hearing with the new board. As you can see, we have our regular Mr. Freeman and Ms. Renatza, but we have a new board member who we're going to go review over a little bit after this hearing. But with that, let's jump in.
All right. Mr. Stell, you're accused of violating the conditions of parole, specifically condition number 4. And it says, on October 19th, 2023, you were engaged in criminal activity in East Baton Rouge Parish. You were arrested for domestic abuse battery by the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. The charge of a domestic abuse battery was no bill by the East Baton Rouge District Attorney's Office. So how do you plead to violating condition number 4? Guilty or not guilty?
I got arrested, but I didn't get
We'll talk about it. I need you to plead though. You say guilty or not guilty?
guilty.
You plead guilty? All right, and then the other one is condition number 10, and it states you are in arrears $315 for your supervision fees.
Guilty.
So I plead guilty to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would you answer Mr. Freeman's questions, please, sir?
Okay, Mr. Stell, you've been in jail 8 months?
Since October, 5 months.
Okay.
November, December, January, February, March. 5 months. November, December, January, February, March.
Okay, 6 months. We'll go
6
with 6. Let's go with
Okay.
6. All right.
Okay.
All right. Tell me what happened. What's been pretty serious? I see there's some pretty serious wounds on her.
Only wound she really had on her was her neck, where she scratched herself with her ring. That's the only thing. I didn't put my hands on her. She started punching on me. She put her hands on me. I grabbed her to get her off of me, and her ring scratched her in her neck. That's the only mark she really had on her.
What
Like,
happened
I
to the
can't
charges? Are they finished yet?
They completely dismissed them. They never picked them up. The state never picked them up. There was no, I don't know. They told me the reason they brought me to jail, they were bringing me to jail because I didn't have nowhere to go in Baton Rouge. I didn't have no other house to go to. That was my residence and her residence, and I had to leave the residence. Being that I didn't have nowhere to go, they was bringing me to jail. And then the next day they got a parole hold on me.
Right. All right. Okay. Who is the victim? Is that your girlfriend?
That was my girlfriend, yes, sir.
Y'all still see each other?
We talk here and there. It's not like that. She's crazy. I learned that in the wrong way. I'm good. I want to be single now. No, I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, she advised that y'all had gotten in a fight the night before. Did y'all have an argument the night before too?
No, sir. We fussed the night before, but it wasn't nothing like that. Like she spazzes out. Like, bad.
So y'all been having a few problems, huh?
Just fussing. She spazzes out. Starts swinging on me and stuff like that.
Okay. It also states that you went into the bathroom, and that's where it started. At first, y'all were just arguing, but then it became physical.
Yeah, I didn't go in the bathroom on her. She was taking a bath, and I went and walked to the store and came back, and she was laying down on the couch, and she started punching on me when I walked through the front door.
Okay, did she leave? Where did she call the cops from?
She took off outside, and I don't know where she called them from. That I don't know. She took off running outside. I thought she went run to the neighbor's house or something. I don't know. She does that often.
Were you working?
I wasn't at the moment. Our truck had broke down. I wasn't working at the moment. But I'm going back when I get home. If I was to get out today, I'm going to try to get my job back at Turner.
At Turner?
At Turner, yes, sir. I was working at Turner Industries.
Okay, I have no further questions.
So, what is her name?
Megan.
So why do you think Megan, as you say, spazzed out on you? What made her that way?
Her and her ex. That was another reason that I got arrested, because there's so many calls to 911 of domestic from that address, because her and her ex lived in that same trailer park, and she never put charges on him or nothing. Meaning he wasn't the address, they never looked for him. So being that she had a bunch of domestics called under her name, I wasn't aware of none of this until that night whenever they brought me to jail. The cops are saying they stayed getting called out there for it. Like, I was in a bad situation. I'm not from Baton Rouge. I'm from Lafayette area.
What
met
have you
her.
learned from this experience?
Who I want to be single. I don't want to be around nobody. I'm gonna go home to my family, go to work, and just look out for myself for a little while. Like, I've been sitting in jail for the last 5 months, just thinking every day, like,
What kind of
It's
work
rough.
you did for Turner?
I was working at the pipe yard. I started off as pipe cleaner, cleaning pipe, and then within 3 weeks I was overhead crane operator. I moved up fast, so I'm pretty sure they'd give me my job back. I would just have to take a cut and pay of what they was giving me. Being
Yeah,
as, and I'm willing to do that if I get a chance.
Where would you live?
Be at either at my sister's or my nanny's. My
Where
little
they-
cousin my nanny lives in Orneville, but my little cousin works at Turner. He was getting certified to be a welder.
He live
He lives with his mama, with my nanny.
in Orneville?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, any other questions? Anything you want to say to us before we vote?
I just ask for mercy. Give me one more chance to get it right. Like, man, I wish I'd have paid attention to what my family told me. Don't run off with her, just stay home. Like, there's one more chance. Like,
Well, hey, that's a lesson learned.
Yeah. When you were incarcerated previously, you took a lot of programming, didn't you?
yes, ma'am.
Do you remember some of the stuff you were taught while you were taking those courses?
Yes,
Did you
ma'am.
Did you take anger management?
Yes, ma'am. I do pretty good with my anger for the most part, but I'd be willing to take it again once if I'm released. I'd be willing to go to classes and everything. Like, I really would. Like,
Well, don't
anything,
down on you.
just be able to give life another try and not be stuck doing this. They got me in River Bend, the worst of the worst. Like, it's bad up here. Gets it out you.
All right, I think we're ready to vote, Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Stell, obviously you and this lady are definitely have problems. You know, I do believe there was a confrontation that night. I think you kind of let it down a little bit. There was no weapon used, but there was some scratches on her arms, neck, face, and a swollen lip. You also had some scratches on you, on your head and neck. So you still trying to say it wasn't a little physical?
She kept grabbing on to me like this, and I just pushed her off of me. Like, yeah, I just pushed her off of me, but she was clenching on to me. Like, I don't understand why she, like, from knowing what her
Swollen lip, I think you said the swollen lip came because your hand slipped up and.
Yeah, I was trying to get her off my throat.
Trying to get her off your throat. Okay. Just tell you one of those cases that's pretty much, if I revoke you today, you're gonna get right back out. Your good time date is 3/29/24, so it's almost here. And your full term date is 3/29/26. So that's not but 2 years off. Can you stay away from her?
Yes, sir.
My vote today is to be do not revoke, no contact with victim. New Iberia don't use a lot of electronic monitor. I want electronic monitoring for the first 6 months to make sure that you go nowhere where this victim is. If you get anywhere in her vicinity, we're gonna revoke. And
Okay.
hopefully it'll charges. You need to learn. And I also want you to retake that anger management. Let them get you back in touch with that. Retake it and think about what you did.
I'll be going back on that end towards Lafayette area, so I'd be able to get in touch with the reentry coordinator and go through the thing in Lafayette.
Okay. Let us finish
She would give
voting
me an-
first. This is the dude.
Mr. Stelly, I'm glad you have a plan, but we need to decide where you're going first. So, you're only a second class offender. I hope that you've learned something from this period of sitting. My vote today is to not revoke you, not because I don't think something happened, but because I think you've had enough time and you've been making some plans for doing better while you're sitting there. So you'll need to retake some anger management classes and have no contact with the victim.
All right, Mr. Stelly, I do concur with my colleagues. My vote also is do not revoke. Add the special condition, you have no control and complete an anger management course, and your parole officer can help you get that situated.
All right.
Electronic monitoring as well for 6 months.
What's the electronic monitoring?
Like
They have it at the office. You don't pay for nothing.
Okay, monitor me over electronics, over like Facebook and things
Yep.
like that.
Don't go and you walk around for 6 months.
Ankle monitor.
Oh, ankle monitor?
Yes.
Okay,
All right, good luck to you, sir.
all right, thank you. That's all?
Yeah, that concludes our business at River Bend. We're going to sign off at 10:06. Good luck.
All right, thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed day.
Well, what a way to kick off the new hearings. Man, this guy might not be the sharpest tool in the shed. I mean, who doesn't know how much time they've served? That's usually a number that just rolls off of everyone's tongues, but the idea that he had to count, that was just, and starting with, oh, it was her ring that made her scratch on her neck. But I think the most interesting part about this is that he didn't realize that he should have done anything he could have to have not had this hearing. You see, he was getting out no matter what in 10 days, March 29th. If he had just waited 10 days, if he had filed some type of motion to kick down the road, or I don't know if he's allowed to refuse a hearing or not. I don't think you are, but it means he wouldn't have had any conditions. But now he has to have an ankle monitor, which was hilarious when he thought that it was to monitor his Facebook. I've never heard that. This is, I mean, this is definitely a unique hearing. I don't know really what to say, but it's it's a new parole board, as many of you are aware. Ms. Renatza and Mr. Pete Freeman are back, but Mr. O'Shea, Mr. Marbella, Ms. Jackson, Ms. Wise are sadly not coming back. Brendan Kelsey as well. So we'll make a few videos reviewing all the different parole board members. To start, the first person whom we saw today, I'll add her to the screen. Let me see. And we didn't see much of her in this hearing, but it's just she's returned to the community parole. So she had served for 5 years in a previous administration. We have never seen her. We had never heard of her, but she had been here. And it's quite interesting. She took advantage of multiple Association of Parole Authority international training events. During her tenure on the board, she earned her MS in communication from the University of Lafayette, where she wrote her, and this is, where she wrote her qualitative thesis on stakeholder theory in medical parole reform. Isn't that a unique angle? Recently, she has served 7 years as a congressional liaison of the United States House of Representatives Speaker. So it was definitely interesting. What was he initially in for? Essentially in for 2012, which he has here is theft over $300, and 2020 he has something where he was booked, but it's not clear. But man, it was definitely a way to kick off the new hearings in 2024, and I'll keep you posted. There are some very interesting board members that have joined, and I guess I can give you a quick overview of that. So we have Mr. Miss Caroline Stapleton, which I believe is the kind of like replacing Mr. O'Shea as the victim's advocate. So she retired from the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office in 2014 with over 2 decades of experience in crime victim assistance services. During her tenure at the EBR Crime Victim Assistance Division Director, she was awarded the National Sheriff's Association Award for Crime Victim Services and National Crime Victim Rights Week Community Awareness Credit. Since her retirement, Ms. Stapleton has served in various capacities in victim services, including the position of the 16th Judicial District Attorney. She has also served as the Crime Victim Reparation Board. So she's my guess, the victim's advocate, and replacing Mr. O'Shea's role on that. Chucky Tillis. Chucky Tillis is a graduate of Southern University. He served over 30 years as president of Oilfield Plant Maintenance. For the past 15 years, he selflessly dedicated himself to prison ministry. He was working as his work serving and ministering to the inmates at Angola reflects a deep understanding and challenge faced by those incarcerated. This to me is very interesting that he's a prison minister, right? It's a very unique approach. We haven't seen anything like that in the past parole board makeup. And of course, we have Pete Freeman, who we know. And this is the man who I'm very curious to see. He's kind of like the Judd Grady of Louisiana, former sheriff with a lot of personality, who says things that people might say are controversial. Steve Crater was a Shreveport Police Department for 19 years, worked in patrol, detective, and narcotics before being appointed chief of police, a position he held for over 8 years. He was then elected sheriff of Kiddo Parish, held that term for 6 terms, during which time he served on the Louisiana Commission of Law Enforcement. So I'm very interested in seeing this man. I just realized that I was doing this entire thing without you seeing what I was saying. So I'm sorry about that. I thought that the Zoom was different. But we're going to be going back to doing more of these new hearings, and more regular updates at the 1 p.m. Eastern Time upload as well. And with that, I'll let you go.
Okay, you got a temper problem?
Yeah, I'm probably not a bad one, but I do have I got a little temper, but I'm not a violent person. I don't hit people. I don't swing at people. I don't hit the opposite sex of the human race or none of that.
Well, you heard it from him first about his temper. He might have a temper, but he doesn't hit the opposite sex or the human race. Let's jump into this hearing. I'll tell you, it's interesting, and it ends with a bang. With that, let's jump in.
So you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, Mr. Kern, specifically condition number 4. And it states that you committed the offense of domestic abuse battery with child endangerment, which is a felony, which led to your arrest September 28, 2023 by Beauregard Parish Sheriff's Office. These charges were pled down to disturbing the peace, and you pled guilty to disturbing the peace on December 20th, 2023. On January 29, 2024, the court allowed the guilty plea of disturbing the peace on 2020-23 to be withdrawn, and the charge was dismissed. So how do you plead to violating condition number 4?
Not guilty.
Okay, and then we have condition number 10, which states you have arrearages of $882 in supervision fees. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Okay. So would you answer Mr. Freeman's questions, please? First, let me acknowledge that we do have your mother, Ms. Kate Kern, who's on Zoom, and we'll ask for her comments at the appropriate time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, Mr. Kern, tell me what happened, that day. Tell me what went on between you and, Maitland?
Madeline.
Okay, and, her mother was there, or your mother was there?
My
And
mother.
Your mother, okay. So tell me what happened, what went on?
Well, it started, we were in the kitchen at my mother's house, and it was just a little family argument, just a little dispute, nothing major, just a little misunderstanding. And she asked me to leave, and I refused. I said, no, I'm not gonna leave. And she just kind of, she kind of came at me, and I just put my hands up like this. It was like, calm down, chill out. We all just need to take a breath. And I went upstairs and took a shower. When I came out, 2 deputies were there. They handcuffed me, put me in the unit outside for about 30 minutes, took me to jail, said that they would take a statement, but they never took a statement from me. They just booked me in, and that was it. I've been here since.
You and Madeline still in a relationship?
No, that was my niece. That
That
was
was
a
your-
family member.
Okay, do you still see her
Um,
talking?
I don't. I mean, I would if I was home. I mean, I don't see
You
her.
hadn't talked to her since you've been in jail.
I've talked to her once. Yeah, I've talked to her. We have spoke.
Okay, and neither her or your mother, are they here today?
My mother is, I believe.
Okay. She's gonna testify on your behalf?
From my understanding.
And in this fight, did you throw things?
No, there was a cup thrown, but I didn't throw the cup. The cup was thrown at me. And I mean, it was just a cup. That's where the child endangerment came in, I believe. But I don't know why they say I threw it. But I mean, I'm gonna say this. The arresting officer, I believe, was Deputy Trey James. Okay, he's got it out for me. That sheriff's department, there's certain officers there from my past drug usage, and I would wheel and deal with drugs in the past. That's why they have it out for me.
Okay,
I never gave a statement on this. I was
No.
never any of that. I mean, they told me at the sheriff's department I would be allowed to give my side of the story. I would be allowed to give a statement. I was never given that opportunity.
You have the opportunity today. So your statement is that you did not throw a cup.
I did not hit Madeline, and I'm pretty sure I didn't throw a cup.
Okay. Yeah, you say your hand may have traveled to her face when you were pushing her off.
Who said that?
That's what you said.
When did I say that?
Madeline threw a jar. Kern said that he pushed Madeline off him. I asked him how he pushed her, and he demonstrated with both his hands. Kern said that one of his hands might have hit Madeline in the face. Y'all went back to court yesterday, and you have no pending charges.
No, sir. I have no charges.
Okay, I'm not asking that. So you saying you didn't hit her in the face, and
No, sir. I didn't hit her in the face.
then you didn't throw a jar.
No, sir.
Madeline threw the jar. Cases. Okay, you got a temper problem?
Yeah, I'm probably not a bad one, but I do have I got a little temper, but I'm not a violent person. I don't hit people. I don't swing at people. I don't hit the opposite sex of the human race or none of that.
Okay, and I'm gonna ask you this the last time. Did you throw a baby jar?
No, sir. I did not throw a baby jar.
Okay, then if your mother said that, she was lying.
I mean, I didn't throw a baby jar. I'm not gonna call anybody a liar, but I will tell you I did not throw a baby jar, sir.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Questions? How long have you been incarcerated on this incident?
5.5 months.
I'm reviewing your file and I'm seeing something here that I'm not sure I understand. In 9/2023, did you receive a, okay, that's this instant charge. When did this incident occur? It was in September?
Yes, ma'am, September of 23.
Okay.
I've been here ever since.
Kyle, it sounds like you might have an anger problem.
Yes,
That-
ma'am.
And it might be that, you need some help for that. Have you ever been incarcerated within, Department of Corrections and gone through any programming?
Yes, ma'am, I've taken the anger management program, and let's see, the Quincy, so Southwest Louisiana, the work release in the Quincy and the one in West Feliciana. All they did was give you a pamphlet, tell you to fill it out. I think I also did it at Catahoula Parish too. You fill out the pamphlet, give it back to the lady. But as far as taking a class and sitting there and actually a learning experience, no, ma'am.
Okay. I have no other questions at this time.
You mentioned that you don't, hurt others. You know, you acknowledged you have an anger issue.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't hurt others.
I'm
But
not.
you seem to have a history of tearing things up, destroying things. Would you say that's an accurate statement?
Yes, ma'am, like cell phones. Cell phones, I break a lot of cell phones.
In anger?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I don't see that we have any other questions. We'd like to hear from your mother, Mrs. K. Kern. Ma'am, we'd like to hear from you.
You're on mute. You're muted, ma'am. I can't hear you.
There we go. That better?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I did send in a statement, just stating that it was just basically a family dispute. My granddaughter and her daughter, my great granddaughter, had to move into our home, back into our home in July of 2023 because she was being abused. And so, she kind of likes to run things and she's very mouthy and doesn't understand that you can't just provoke things. And she got involved in a conversation that didn't even involve her. And things just went south. I was sitting at the bar in my kitchen feeding my great granddaughter, and I had my back turned. I did hear a baby food jar fly across the room. It didn't come anywhere close to hitting any of us, but I don't know. She said she didn't throw it. I don't know. I guess it just flew through the air on its own. I'm not sure, but I did not see anything at that point. It was a very heated conversation. She tends to get people pretty wound up. Sometimes I have to put 2 locked doors between the 2 of us. But yeah, I just hope that this is not going to cost him another 4 or 5 years of incarceration because it was a very heated, family dispute. That's all it was. And of course, with his background and being on parole, he's going to take took the heat for it. And he's been in there pretty much close to 6 months. Now, she did a statement too, or so she said she did, because she's regretting the whole deal. And we did tell her, you can either participate or send a statement. She said she sent a statement. I have not seen it. And she couldn't participate because she works at a CPA office in Moss Bluff and it's tax time and it's crazy busy.
Does she still live in your household?
She does. She's looking for a place. She wants to get moved back to Lake Charles because she works down there and the baby goes to daycare there. And so she's looking for a place, but we had to temporarily move her back home. So.
Okay. Well, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your participation and your remarks this morning.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Kern, is there anything you'd like to say to us before we vote?
Yes, ma'am. I just would like to say that, you know, if I were to be released or reinstated, that if I would seek further help on anger management, you know, if that's available, I would be willing to take classes or what is it, the mental health, maybe anything, whatever, anything I could do that, you know, would help. I would be willing to do such thing.
All right. Thank you, sir. You have a vote?
I asked for executive session.
We have a motion for executive session.
Second that.
Can you do a roll call, please?
Roll call, Cheryl Renassa,
Yes.
Pete Freeman,
Yes.
Jerry Ledoux.
Yes.
Mr. Kern, we're going to be in executive session for a few moments to discuss confidential matters. We'll be right back. Just stand by.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Kern, we're back in regular session and we are prepared to vote, and Mr. Freeman will be voting first.
Okay, Mr. Kern, in my opinion, you do have a severe mental, problem, not a severe mental problem. You have an anger problem.
Yes, sir.
You're flying off the handle pretty quick. But, today we're gonna give you a chance. We're gonna give you 6 months in the Steve Hall program, where they will give you your anger management and drug treatment. 2, while you're there, and then after the end of the 6 months, if you complete the program satisfactorily, you'll be released. On release, your special conditions will be to stay away from the victim as much as possible. Hopefully she'll have moved out of your mother's house by then. And I want a curfew of 9 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Mrs. Ledoux?
Mr. Kern, we are to be concerned about public safety, but my also concern is to have an offender and go back into society better than when they went in. And so I am going to concur with Mr. Freeman. I would like to send you directly to the Steve Hoyle program for some substance abuse and anger management programming. And then I would like for you to have minimal contact with your victim. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So revocation. That's my vote.
All right, Mr. Kern, I do agree. In lieu of revocation, you're going to go to the Steve Hoyle program. I'm sure you've heard of it and are familiar with it, and that's to get you some more substance abuse treatment along with anger management. And then after release, you're to have no contact limited contact with Madeline Kern, and then you'll have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Got it?
Ma'am.
You understand all that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you'll be transferred as soon as possible. Good luck to you, Mr. Kern.
Thank you.
That concludes our business at Avoyle, so we're going to sign off at 10:54. Thanks for helping us out today.
Fucking Shreveport, Plains, I done been there before, man. This place is a fucking joke. 6 months and no charges.
Well, there you have it. Like I said, he admitted to having a temper problem, but I do want to point something out, which is he did not lose it at the parole board. You know, as far as he knew, he did not know that this was a hot mic. He did not know that people outside of his inner circle saw him acting out. He actually was able to hold it all together, you know, pretend that he was going along with it, to even tell the parole board, thank you. And then when he thought that he was alone in his own space, he blew it. And I don't fault him for that. I think that I would probably have done the same thing if I found out that I was not getting parole, that I had to go to a program for 9 months, to the Steve Hoyle program, especially if I thought I was innocent, but even if I didn't. So, you know, but if you wanted to sort of have some insight into, you know, I think that still did show a bit there, but I'm playing kind of two sides on this. I don't know, is following like what I think happened or didn't happen. but I tend to not lean to really trust the inmates so much. It's well, first beginning to watch these hearings, like, you know, a couple of years ago, I leaned into believing so much of what they said, but then kind of over time you become jaded, and you realize that it's, I think, few and far in between where they are actually innocent. How do you feel so far from what we've seen of Jerry Ledoux? She talks very like grandmotherly, very loving, kind of like soothing and caring so far from what I've seen. It is still early to tell, but you know, so far I like what I see. Mr. Pete Freeman seemed to be a little bit, I don't know if it was more confidence up there, being like the senior guy in the room. I mean, Mr. Knotts is the most senior, but it was interesting. He's got like this dry sense of humor and this way of doing things. It's quite interesting, Mr. Freeman. I thought he had a good overall day today. There were a lot of hearings, like 4 hours of hearings. So I wanted to get you a few of them. And we're going to jump over to the Connecticut hearings, now. But before we do, I thought that we can just watch one example of how he held it together while many in Connecticut can't. So we're going to jump into montage right now if you haven't seen it, and then stick around. We're going to get beamed up, if you're watching this on the premiere, to a Connecticut hearing. Or you can click at the link at the end if you want to see the Connecticut hearings that I have on my second channel, which more than 50% of you, close to 70% of you, aren't subscribed to it yet. So please do if you haven't. I think you'd appreciate it. And thank you all for everything. And thank you, Richard, who you know has one day coming out of surgery. I have not spoken to him or heard from him. I'm just still praying and thinking about him and hoping that he's doing okay. But with that, I'll let you go.
No parole for tape.
Okay,
No parole for tape.
so,
No parole for tape. None.
okay,
Mr. Tate is not getting parole because of anger issues. That's what's going on here. No parole.
Obscene language, calling her a fucking clown, a fucking cracker, a fucking cracker, a fucking cracker, and a fucking monkey. You also stated I should have just fucking whooped your fucking ass with fucking cuffs off, and she's lucky I didn't crack her fucking head. Based on your actions, you are in violation of Connecticut General Statute 53A-181, breach of peace in the second.
Constitutional adjustment. You would have been pissed off too. You would have been mad if you would have been sitting in jail for a crime that you didn't commit. Because guess what? This ain't my first time. This ain't my first time spending in jail for a crime that I didn't commit. You know, and I don't expect you to understand that because you're a paper pusher.
Board. That it's up to the parole board. So you're all set for today. And you'll know, like I said, about a week after March 14th. So I wish you the best of luck.
when people kill themselves because of you, that's on you.
I don't like I said, it doesn't mean shit if I get Florida. If I go home today or in a week, if I go home in 4, if I go back and you can't tell me I've never done this. If I lay in bed sometimes, I think about all the fucked up things I've done in my life. I'm like, bro, I deserve more time. Let's be realistic. I probably deserve more time.
Out a couple of buildings and then with the potato in the car, you know.
Can you tell us why you're in a yellow jumpsuit?
Because when I had got extradited here from New York, car in front of you, car in back of you, and it's just a lot. So when they took me to the hospital, it was only one officer with no firearm, and it was no escort, nothing. So, and they
That
shot
was the first error. You saw an opportunity where you could leave. You were expressing to your.
There's an allegation that the client may have been masturbating. That is not a crime to masturbate. Nowhere in our law is that deemed a crime. And under the elements, I will obey all laws. I must prove the elements of the crime alleged. There is no crime. There's no statute.
What did you do with this money? With this $10,000 that you got for these Rolexes at the pawn shop?
There was no. I didn't receive $10,000.
What did you get?
We got $600.
Wow. And what
And,
did you buy?
my co-defendant took the money.
And what's to do with it?
She probably got high with it.
All right.
You mean when am I leaving?
Well, May 9th is the recommended date. So the parole board's gotta vote, the parole board's gonna vote next week on the 21st.
Like, you're kidding me.
That concludes the hearing. You're all set, sir.
Go fuck yourself.
Well, you might not believe it if you didn't see it, but there's something in the water in Connecticut because the hearings are pretty wild. More than half of you aren't subscribed to my second channel where I covered these Connecticut parole hearings. So please check it out in the link below. And with that, I'll let you go.